What happens when you combine a star-studded cast, an acclaimed director, and a storyline that takes a young boy around the world in search of new parents? You get one of the most hated box office bombs in cinematic history, North. North follows a young boy, played by Elijah Wood, who's sick of being neglected by his parents. He embarks on a global quest to find the perfect family. On paper, it sounds like the perfect setup for a heartwarming family adventure. In reality, it's a disaster. Directed by Rob Reiner, a man known for hits like When Harry Met Sally and A Few Good Men, the expectations were sky high. But North didn't just miss, it crashed and burned. The premise had potential. A neglected boy searching the world for new parents sounds like the kind of feel-good movie that could tug at heartstrings. It had all the makings of a classic family adventure, except for one thing: the execution. Somehow, North managed to turn this charming idea into a bizarre, uncomfortable mess that left both critics and audiences shaking their heads. And then there's the cast. Elijah Wood as North, Bruce Willis popping up in quirky roles throughout the movie, Jason Alexander, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Kathy Bates, Dan Aykroyd, Reba McEntire, Alan Arkin, even a young Scarlett Johansson. You'd think with talent like this, North couldn't go wrong. But that's the irony. Despite the star-studded lineup, it's a masterclass in how to waste talent. The cast may have brought their A game, but they were fighting a losing battle against a script that was determined to sink the ship. Roger Ebert's review of North has gone down in history as one of the most savage critiques ever written. He didn't just dislike the film, he hated it. In his words, I hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it. That quote became more famous than the movie itself, cementing North's place in the pantheon of terrible films. Screenwriter Alan Zweibel keeps a clipping of the review in his wallet, sometimes reading it at public appearances. Ebert wasn't alone either. Critics lined up to tear this movie apart. Gene Siskel said that it made him feel unclean. The film's attempts at humor fell flat, and its offensive stereotypes only added fuel to the fire. One of North's biggest missteps is its reliance on outdated cultural cliches. The film's misguided humor veered into territory that many found downright offensive. The infamous Hawaiian segment is a perfect example, cringeworthy in every sense of the word. Instead of offering fun, light-hearted comedy, North served up a buffet of stereotypes that made audiences squirm. The jokes didn't land, and the absurdity of it all left viewers more uncomfortable than amused. The chaos wasn't just on screen. Behind the scenes, there was plenty of reluctance from the cast and crew. Kathy Bates wasn't a fan of the script, but she felt obligated to Rob Reiner after Misery. Bruce Willis wasn't keen either, but was talked into it by his then-wife, Demi Moore, who had just worked with Reiner on A Few Good Men. Even Columbia Pictures had their doubts. Poor test screenings led them to consider releasing the movie straight to video, but Reiner fought for a theatrical release. The result? A $40 million bomb that grossed only $12 million. Despite the film's catastrophic reception, Rob Reiner has defended North for years. He said he loved making it and wanted to do something light after heavy hitters like Misery and A Few Good Men. According to Reiner, the negative reception had more to do with expectations than the actual film. He claims that people were expecting something bigger from him, and North was meant to be a lighthearted fable. Unfortunately for Reiner, audiences and critics didn't agree, and the movie's failure marked a significant downturn in his directorial career. So, how did a movie with so much potential go so horribly wrong? Was North the victim of impossibly high expectations, or is it truly the worst movie ever made? It's a question that's haunted Reiner's career ever since, but don't just take our word for it. Watch North for yourself and decide. Is it a misunderstood fable, or a film that deserves its place among the worst of the worst? Let us know in the comments what you think.